Hello, this is Super Jester 78 here, and I'm gonna be talking about Transformers Generation 1 Season 1. Alright, it's gonna be a lot of cool stuff we'll be talking about. Now, I know many of you know that this was the first Transformers TV show, first Transformers cartoon show to be exact, based off the Hasbro toy line of the same name, which debuted back in the early mid-80s. Now, what to say about this? Well, since this was the first Transformers TV show, it had a lot of its cool moments. Also had a lot of kinda okay moments. It could get cheesy, but you know, you couldn't really blame them, right? Like, after all, this was a kids' Saturday morning TV show from the 80s, right? But it was still a good show. It was still a damn good show, you know. Like, but I'm just blabbering about. Now to get to the point of my video review of Transformers Generation 1 Season 1. Basic premise of the show is you have the Autobots and the Decepticons, who are Transformers. They are an alien race from a planet called Cybertron, which is millions of light years away from Earth. And their main source for energy is Energon, which they solely depend on. Unfortunately, though, for the Autobots, for both the Autobots and the Decepticons, they're running low on Energon. Cybertron is pretty much almost dry, so the Decepticons and Autobots are pretty much both losing. So, in the first episode, if I recall, because I haven't really seen the show for a while, but if I recall, Optimus Prime and the Autobots, they take off in their ship, the Ark, to leave Cybertron and look for some more Energon. Unfortunately, though, Megatron, who is the bad guy, the main bad guy of the show, the main villain, leader of the Decepticons, he follows the Autobots across the galaxy when they leave Cybertron. And of course, the Autobots and the Decepticons fight. And both the spaceships, there's like a spaceship battle in space that goes on, and they both crash land on a planet called Earth, and they befriend with the humans, the Autobots, but the Decepticons, they try to take over the planet, of course. And basically throughout the show, it's just the Autobots and the humans are aligned together to stop the Decepticons and Megatron, of course. And that's pretty much the whole premise of the show. Now, the characters I really enjoyed. Things I liked about the show, the characters. You have Optimus Prime, who's the leader of the Autobots, who is very bold, very heroic, very wise, and just pretty badass. He's a really good leader. And of course you have his arch nemesis, the main villain of the show, Megatron, who's the leader of the Decepticons. And to be honest, I used to think Megatron was really badass in the G1 show, and I still, don't get me wrong, I still do think he really is like a really cool, cold-hearted villain. But there are some episodes though where I don't know, where he almost acts like he's a slapstick comedy villain or something, or almost acts like he's like some bad guy off Scooby-Doo, like, you know, like those kind of bad guys are like, "I'll get you, you meddling kids, and your little dog too," you know, like something like that. But for the most part, though, he works as a good villain, works as a good bad guy, good adversary. The minor characters, I mean secondary characters who I like, again with the Autobots, you have, if I recall, there was Ironhide, Bumblebee, Jazz, Ratchet, Cliffjumper, of course. Damn, I can't remember. Like, the Dinobots I know are, but I don't think they show up until the second season. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like, just if I'm wrong about this, just comment. Just comment on the comments below. But my favorite Autobot character, probably Ironhide. I know he has his corny moments, but I don't know. I just like he's kind of, his personality, to describe Ironhide, he's kind of a redneck, you know. He's just like kind of a tough redneck kind of character, you know. And I don't know. He's the kind of guy that, like, if you were Ironhide's friend, and if Ironhide saw some, I don't know, like some dickhead or whatever picking on you, he'd take care of it for you, you know. When I was a kid, I always saw him as that kind of guy, that kind of character, you know. And Jazz, I always liked Jazz too, mostly because he was voiced by Scatman Crothers, who I really love. He's a great actor. Fortunately, he passed away like 20 years ago or so, but yeah, those are probably my two favorites. And the human characters who are allies with the Autobots, you have Spike Witwicky and his father Sparkplug Witwicky. They're okay. I like them. They can get kind of, I don't know, like cliche after a while, but for the most part, they're okay. I like them. They do a lot to help out the Autobots. That I liked, you know. And after all, they're just humans, for Christ's sake. And the Autobots, and the Transformers in general, are freaking huge, you know. They transform into vehicles, so when they're in robot mode, they're like 20 feet tall or something. So I give them props for that, for helping them out. Now to move on with the Decepticons, secondary character Decepticons. If I recall, Megatron's team, or Megatron's group, the Decepticons who worked for Megatron was Starscream, Soundwave, of course his cassette partners. You had Rumble, Frenzy, Laserbeak, Ravage, Ratbat, or whatever his name is. I haven't seen the show for a while, so if I know, like, if I'm making a ton of mistakes, just comment below to correct me. Right. You also had like the Seekers, like Thundercracker and Skywarp, who are pretty much repaints of Stars. They're pretty much the same cartoon model as Starscream, just with different colors. And I think Devastator, and there was Devastator, but but I think he doesn't appear until season 2. I'll get to that once I do my second video review of that. But the Decepticons, I really got a kick out of them. My favorite, hands down, Starscream. He is just one of the most, you know, he's one of those characters who, the first moment you see him and you hear his voice, you just fall in love with the guy. You know, he's badass. He absolutely hates working for Megatron. He loathes him. He wants to overthrow Megatron and wants to become leader of the Decepticons. And there are actually a few episodes where he does that, actually, but in the end he fails miserably, though. So you know, but for the most part, though, like Starscream. For the most part, I always saw Starscream as being like the punk badass of the group. You know, he's just that character you can relate to. You know, like if you were a kid growing up and you had parents who like bossed you around and all that, you didn't like it, or didn't like being bossed around or told what to do, then Starscream's your guy. Starscream's the guy you can relate to. You know, so yeah. And of course Soundwave, who was my second favorite character. He's basically like an emotionless computer-like being. He's like a robot. The best way I could describe him is he's very similar to the Cylons from the original Battlestar Galactica show. Like the way how he talks and stuff, even the way how he kind of looks, you know. I always like Soundwave, and of course his cassette minions, which eject out of his chest, like Rumble and Frenzy and Laserbeak and Ravage and all of them. I always got a kick out of those guys. And even the Seekers, you know, like Thundercracker and Skywarp. I always liked them. So what's my overall opinion of the original G1 Transformers show, season 1? I'd say it's pretty good. Although, yeah, there are a lot of cheesy moments, but hey, it's a 80s cartoon, you know, what do you expect? But it's a good show, you know, and for those of you who grew up with the show, it's one of those shows you never get sick of, you know. You could watch it over and over again and not get tired of it. So I give this show a good 8 out of 10, because at the time, you know, robots who transformed in disguise, who like transformed into trucks or guns or jets, like that idea was really cool and new and stuff. So yeah, this Transformers that's proof. Transformers has really stood the test of time. So I highly recommend this show. For those of you who haven't seen the original G1 cartoon, you should pick it up. Go to HMV or whatever, or just go on YouTube, watch a couple episodes, and see what you think of it. I love it. So that's it. I'm done with my first video review. This is Super Jester 78 signing off. Thanks for watching. Thank you.